you're 17, 18 with a baby, you go get on welfare. I remember my first trip to the welfare office. They gave me everything I wanted. They gave me daycare and housing and food stamps and medical and all. I'm like, this is nice. Like, it was good. And so I have to laugh about it because I remember going back after I was married. And my ex-husband, my husband at the time, we had gone through, he got diagnosed with leukemia. We went through cancer, lost everything, had to rebuild, and we're back at the welfare office. This is after having my second child and all of that. And I'm trying. I'm like, we in a church, we married, like,
you're doing all the things you thought you're supposed to do.
yeah, go back to the welfare office. I mean, we lost everything. He lost his company. We had to liquidate everything so he can get the proper health care and everything. We starting over. Like, we just need a little help. Like, let's go back. Because I'm like, these people going to give us everything. Like, I've been there. I know. Like, I remember going and sitting there and the lady's just going through the numbers and, how much rent do you pay and what are you doing? He's like, oh, you pay $700 of rent. Like, you don't have to pay that much. Like, oh, you guys are both students. Like, one of y'all can work. Like, I mean, she made us feel so bad.
Mm.
They didn't give us anything. They told us one of us needs to go back to work. We can live somewhere that didn't and we weren't. We were living on a state street in South City. Like, it wasn't like, we were living in Ladue. Like, yeah. And so, and that was the moment that I'm like, it's something wrong with this. There's something wrong with this system. Because how is it that two people who have a legitimate reason for being hurt, like, we lost everything to cancer. We had no control over that. Like, I had control over laying down with this man and having a baby.
Yeah.
I couldn't control this man getting cancer and us losing everything. But the fact that there's two of us and we're married and we're trying to make sure our kids are educated and we got a solid foundation, we're trying to educate ourselves, like, there's no value in that. Like, what is this system made for?
Yeah.
So that kind of planted that seed, but I was kind of young and didn't, I didn't think twice about it. I just thought, okay, this kind of messed up. Like, I don't understand. I was just confused. And I remember having a conversation with somebody saying, the welfare system is bad for Black people. It's bad for people in general. Like, this feels like modern day slavery. And then, we started talking about politics, which I was never really into politics, but we just shared.
How old were you?
I was in my 20s.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm repeating what I've heard. I'm like, this has to be a Republican structure. It's got to be, because they're the racist ones, right? And no way, it has to be them, because look what it's doing to the community. Of course, the racists are it's genius. Like, you guys are genius. That's what I was thinking. We're having this conversation. I had no idea. It was the opposite of everything I could have imagined.
Yeah, but that's the great lie, right? I mean, that's the great lie since the 60s, is that somehow the belief that Democrats were the ones who freed you from the South, that they're the ones who have taken care of all your problems in any history
I ever told.
It really is, and the media just lathers it up as much as they can and runs with it.
Yeah, it's like, as long as nobody gets too loud about it, we'll just kind of hide it. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean and I think the disclaimer is that doesn't mean the Republicans are clean.
Facts.
So there is absolutely, we had these conversations a little bit earlier, but on both sides of the party, they could fix a lot of this. But the problem is when power gets involved and money gets involved on both sides, then corruption is just rampant, right? So the only way to start to control that is to ramp it down and get more local, because then the more local you get, the more control, or at least then you can limit the damage, right?
Yeah.
So
all people, we all a hot mess. But those ideas and those narratives is what drives people when they're voting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because no way I'm voting for somebody that I think is out to get me personally, in my family, my community. So it was those narratives that we have to address. But yeah, we never talked about politics. My grandfather was, he was a school teacher, and he, he was running the block unit and things like that. So he was involved in the community, but I was too young to really understand that. But we didn't talk about politics. Yeah. When I voted Democrat, because that's what, those are all the signs in the neighborhood. That's like, I do whatever y'all just told me to do. Like, good.
I show up, I do my American thing, I vote. It's just D down the side, and I'm good to go.
Question it. Yeah, I never questioned it until a few years ago. As a older woman. Like, I was dating this man, and we started talking about Trump, and I'm just rolling my eyes. I'm like, I know this man is not going there with me. Like, don't do that. Like, we're not doing that. But whatever. I listened, because you get a man around, you get kind of crazy. Those hormones start raging. I'm listening to whatever. I got that confirmation. That little halo bias happening. So he's talking to me, and I'm just like, whatever. And so he started like showing me different videos about Donald Trump and his body language, and just he showed, what was that? What was the show he had?
The Apprentice?
The Apprentice. And I was into it and I liked it. And I'm like, this man is kind of witty, kind of funny. Like, there was
Well, and there was a lot of African Americans on it, right? You had Lil Wayne and all these different, Dennis Rodman, and all of them are his friends.
Yes. So watching that, it was like, wait a minute. So he's kind of witty. These black people like him. Like, so is he a raging racist, or is he something like what I'm seeing in his show? And so that kind of planted a seed of doubt. And when you get that one seed of doubt, it's like, oh no, wait, I got to question everything now. And so I just started doing my own research and started kind of looking at his campaign and, what one side of the media was saying and what the other side, and trying to find a balance in that. I'm like, wait, these people are lying. They took that out of context. They took this one clip and made it sound like something else, and that's not even what he said. And so, I mean, the level of distrust, like, I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
There is no way I've been walking around drinking the Kool-Aid like this. There is no way I missed this. And so it just kind of opened me up to like, wait, you might be wrong. You might be wrong, because I drank the Kool-Aid. Like, I'm talking about liberal, crazy. I'm talking about I would go into work late, do the bare minimum, and then call my boss a racist because she called me out on it.
Yeah.
Like, I was that girl. Like, I was using it to my advantage because it feels good.
Well, and it's easy.
It's easy.
It's easy.
It's easy. It's easy. It's easier to call you a racist than show up to work on time.
Absolutely. and what are they going to do?
What you gonna do?
That's like the one thing nobody wants to hear, because if you're told that, then you are like, it makes everybody uncomfortable.
It's like being called a pedophile.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's the weight of it nowadays. It's like being called a pedophile. So, and I would use it. And so, I mean, that's how far gone I was.
I also think it's funny because if you started watching the election with Joe, I mean, obviously this is during the 2016 one with Clinton, right?
Yeah.
But I even thought when this last election with Joe Biden and Trump, when they were running, the idea of when you hear Trump talk and then you would hear Biden, and Biden would, you ain't black unless you vote Democrat, or these little things that he would drop, and you're sitting there going, that's really racism.
It definitely is.
You're telling people,
stereotypes, all kinds. So there's a guy who does like a man on the street, and he'll go with these quotes and be like, "Is this racist?" And everybody, all these liberals, like, "Oh yeah, that's absolutely racist." And they'd be like, "You know who said that? Was it Trump or was it Biden?" They'd be like, "That was definitely Trump." Like, it wasn't. That was your boy. That was your boy. Like, and they're like, "Oh, now I, it kind of planted that seed of doubt." Like. Yeah. So after when that happened, like, I started consuming just all kind of information. I read Candace Owens' book Blackout, and I mean, she laid it all out.
She does that's a great book.
Oh man, like she gave me the history that I needed. She opened my mind, and it's just like,
get off the black plantation,
for
right?
real. So I mean, I was on fire. That's what got me to where I am now. Because I'm like, everybody needs to know this. How do we not know this? How are we not having these conversations? How do we get here? Yeah. So here I am.
Yeah.
Like, the truth will set you free, for real. Like, that's real. And once I was exposed to just a small amount of the truth, I'm like, yeah, we doing this. Like,
hey, thanks for watching this short with us today. And if you like it, check out our full episodes on our channel and website. We'll put those in the links below. And as always, Scott,
like and subscribe, or subscribe and then like, whatever order you want, really.
Whatever order you like.
Yeah.
Thanks.